Login and search flows in Debug Bear allow you to test pages behind a login or simulate user interactions like filling out forms or clicking buttons. This feature is useful if your performance tests need access to authenticated content or dynamic flows that require user input. In this video, we'll walk through how login steps work and how to set them up. In this example, we want to test a page which requires a login. After clicking login and search flows, any previously created flow steps will be available for selection. There are two options: create login flow and create generic flow. Let's create a login flow for this demo site. There are 5 steps by default, which can be adjusted with the Add Step button if your login flow is not traditional. After adding the URL as the first step, we need to add the correct CSS values to identify the inputs. To do this, visit the page and open up DevTools to inspect the elements. When inspecting the inputs, we can see different attributes. ID would be the best option as the ID is unique to the input element. If more than one element matches the selector, then the first one will be used in the flow. This can be problematic when using attributes such as class when multiple elements likely match. We can see that the submit button has a type submit attribute. With a more specific selector, we can search in DevTools to make sure that one element is selected in the search bar. After gathering the identifiers that we need, we can return to the login flow steps. In this case, we need to change the first name attribute value to username, whereas the password attribute value is already what we need. For security, make sure that your user account does not have any special privileges on your website. The final submit input is already what we need. The final step is for the page to wait until the values have been entered. Once we have completed these steps, we can click the create button to close the modal with our login flows saved. Before updating the page settings and running the test, we can test out the login flow so we can quickly find out if it's working correctly. This will open up a new tab. Any errors will be noted in the log. Here is an example where I purposely set an incorrect value for the submit type. Once we have the login flow working, we can run the test. Check test the final page if you want to run your performance test on the page where the user arrives at the end of the setup flow. After running the test, we can see that we have successfully logged into the platform as a user and are able to view the performance of where the user lands. As you can see, we have logged into an e-commerce website where we can add items to our cart and check out. Let's try this out by adding more flow steps. Chaining these steps is a great way to keep everything organized. Here you can see I've added 2 extra flows after the initial login using the generic flow setup. One to add an item to the cart and another to check out. When running a login and search flow, the user flow tab appears in the sidebar. Here we can monitor the specific flow over time. This helps us understand if there are any issues during a vital process such as purchasing an item. Let's take a look at a slightly more complex search flow. In this case, we want to book a trip by selecting the destination and the outgoing and return dates. First of all, we need to click to accept cookies. Then we can use the ARIA label attribute as a selector to select our destination from the drop-down menu. In this case, we want to travel to Paris. When selecting the dates of travel, we can use the data test ID attribute to open up the calendar UI. Then the data date attribute will select our travel dates, the 13th and 17th of August. To finish the flow, we'll click the search button using the data test ID selector. After running the test, when viewing the user flow tab, we can see the final screenshot of our selection as well as the event timings.